Grand Admiral Nexus stood motionless before the massive holographic display aboard the Dominion flagship Eternal Dawn, his iridescent scales reflecting the soft blue glow of countless stars. The map of unexplored space sector 947 rotated slowly, but his attention remained fixed on a single point, a seemingly unremarkable yellow star with an unusually active third planet. Curious, he murmured, his secondary eyes narrowing while his primary set remained focused on the data stream scrolling past. Very curious indeed. The planet shouldn't have been remarkable. It was just another life-bearing world in the vast expanse of space, one of thousands the Dominion had catalogued over their 10,000 years of expansion. But something about this one made his ancestral warning instincts tingle. "Analysis complete, Admiral," announced Senior Observer Merrick's, her crystalline form chiming softly as she approached. "You'll want to see this personally." The hologram zoomed in, revealing a planet wrapped in artificial satellites. Most pre-FTL civilizations had a few dozen, perhaps 100 such devices. This world had thousands, and those were just the ones they could detect. More troubling were the energy signatures, carefully masked but present nonetheless. "They're hiding something," Nexus observed. "Show me their technological progression." The display shifted, showing a timeline that made even the seasoned Admiral's scales ripple with concern. Where most species took centuries to progress from primitive flight to basic space exploration, these humans had done it in mere decades. More concerning still were the patterns of their advancement. "Their development is irregular," Merrick's noted. "They're focusing heavily on defensive technologies, propulsion systems, and energy weapons. It's as if they're preparing for war," Nexus finished. "But against whom? They haven't even made first contact with any spacefaring civilization yet." The Admiral's attention shifted to another data stream showing massive underground complexes, hardened military installations on their moon, and what appeared to be automated defense platforms cleverly disguised as debris in their asteroid belt. This species wasn't just advancing, they were fortifying. "Send this to the High Council immediately," Nexus ordered. "Market Priority 1. Hours later, in the Grand Chamber of the Dominion High Council on Capital World Zenith, Nexus stood before the assembled councillors. Their bioluminescent forms cast an array of colors across the ancient marble floors as they reviewed his findings. "Paranoid primitives," dismissed Councillor Vax, his tentacles waving dismissively. "We've seen this before. Young species often fear the unknown." "With respect, Councillor," Nexus countered, "this is different. Their preparation is too thorough, too focused. They're not building defenses out of fear, they're building them with purpose." High Councillor Artemis, her crystalline form towering over the others, leaned forward. "You suggest we should be cautious with a pre-FTL species, Admiral. The Dominion has incorporated thousands of worlds into our empire. What makes this one different?" Nexus projected a new image, a detailed scan of human military installations. "Look at their weapon designs. They're unlike anything we've seen before. They're not following normal technological progression. They're innovating, creating new paths we haven't encountered." The chamber filled with dismissive chatter, but Artemis raised a hand for silence. "Your recommendation, Admiral?" "Send a diplomatic mission, but—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Triple the standard escort fleet, and maintain full shields at all times." The council erupted in laughter. "Such precautions for primitives." Vax scoffed. "Absurd." "Standard protocols will suffice," Artemis declared. "You are dismissed, Admiral." As Nexus left the chamber, he couldn't shake the feeling that the Dominion was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating younger species. In his quarters later that night, he recorded a personal log. "They're not seeing what I see. These humans, they're different. They're not building a civilization. They're building an army. And somehow, somewhere, they learned we were coming. The question isn't whether they're ready for us, it's whether we're ready for them." In Earth's Orbital Defense Command, deep within Cheyenne Mountain, General Diana Chen studied the latest deep space scans. The alien ships had been detected exactly when and where that intercepted transmissions had predicted. 20 years of preparation were about to be tested. "They're coming," she announced to her staff. "Just as we expected. Initiate Protocol Omega. Let's show them why humanity doesn't play by their rules." The pieces were set. The game was about to begin, and the Dominion was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one that sees you coming. The Dominion diplomatic vessel Celestial Mandate emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, its crystalline hull gleaming in the distant sunlight. Ambassador Thalax stood on the command deck, his translucent form pulsing with barely contained contempt as he studied the blue planet ahead. "Primitives," he muttered. "Let's get this over with." Behind his flagship, 12 escort vessels moved into formation, the standard show of force for incorporating new worlds into the Dominion. In Earth's lunar command center, General Chen watched the alien fleet's approach on a holographic display. Her senior staff stood silent, years of training now facing their first real test. The aliens had arrived exactly where their intercepted communications had predicted. "Incoming transmission," announced Colonel Marcus Rodriguez, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. "Standard Dominion first contact package, just as our deep space intercepts showed." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Accept the transmission. Let's play their game." Ambassador Thalax's holographic form materialized in the command center, his crystalline body carefully engineered to project magnificence and authority. "People of Earth," he began, his artificial voice dripping with rehearsed benevolence, "the Galactic Dominion welcomes you to the greater community of spacefaring species." Chen stepped forward, her posture relaxed but alert. "We thank the Dominion for their greeting. Earth is pleased to establish diplomatic relations." Thalax paused, thrown off script by her calm demeanor. Most primitive species responded with either fear or awe. "Perhaps there is some confusion," he recovered smoothly. "We are here to offer you the privilege of incorporation into the Dominion. Your world will receive our protection and guidance." "And if we decline?" Chen's question hung in the air like a drawn blade. The ambassador's form flickered with amusement. "My dear primitive beings, you misunderstand. This isn't a negotiation." He gestured, and the escort vessels uncloaked their weapon systems. "This is a courtesy notification." Chen pressed a button on her command console. Across the solar system, hidden defense platforms powered up. "I believe you're the one misunderstanding, Ambassador. We've been expecting you." Before Thalax could respond, proximity alarms blared across the Dominion fleet. From behind Mars' moons, Earth's first line of defense revealed itself. Dozens of ships emerged, their design unlike anything in Dominion records. Uglier, more angular, but bristling with weapons that made the escort vessel's sensors scream in confusion. "Impossible," Thalax whispered. "You don't have this technology." "We had 30 years to prepare," Chen replied calmly. "We intercepted your first scout ships decades ago. Every transmission, every scan, we learned from them all. This is your only warning, Ambassador. Leave Earth space, or we will demonstrate exactly how much we've learned." Thalax's form pulsed with rage. "You dare threaten the Dominion? We have conquered galaxies. Your primitive weapons are nothing compared to." His words cut off as the first human vessel fired. The beam that lanced out wasn't the elegant plasma weapon of Dominion design. It was a crude but brilliant hybrid of stolen alien tech and human innovation. It struck the nearest escort vessel's shields and simply ignored them, the frequencies precisely tuned to the weaknesses Earth had spent decades studying. The escort ship's port side erupted in flames before its emergency systems could engage. It hadn't been destroyed, but the message was clear. Humanity could hurt them. "How?" Thalax demanded. "Those shield frequencies are encrypted. You couldn't possibly." "We learned your language, your technology, your tactics," Chen interrupted. "While you dismissed us as primitives, we were taking apart every piece of data you carelessly broadcast across space. Your arrogance was our greatest teacher. Across the Dominion fleet, sensors warned of multiple weapon locks from positions throughout the solar system. Earth's defense grid had been hidden in plain sight, disguised as debris and asteroids, each piece containing weapons specifically designed to counter Dominion technology. "This is your final warning," Chen stated. "The next demonstration won't be a warning shot." For the first time in his long diplomatic career, Ambassador Thalax felt fear. These weren't the actions of primitives lucky enough to reverse engineer advanced technology. This was the carefully orchestrated revelation of a species that had been methodically preparing for this exact moment. "The Dominion will not forget this insult," he snarled, but his ships were already beginning to retreat. As the Dominion fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Chen turned to her staff. "Send the message to all commands. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. She looked at the tactical display, where hundreds more hidden defense platforms were revealing themselves across the solar system. "They'll be back, and next time they won't underestimate us." In the depths of their underground research facilities, Earth's scientists and engineers were already analyzing the data from this first encounter, preparing for the war they had spent generations getting ready to fight. The Dominion had just learned their first lesson about humanity. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you don't know is waiting for you. Deep within the Ganymede Research Complex, Dr. Elena Santos moved through a forest of suspended alien technology, each piece carefully dissected and analyzed. The captured components from the damaged Dominion escort vessel hung in zero-gravity containment fields, their crystalline structures reflecting the harsh laboratory lights. "Show me the shield modulator analysis," she commanded. The holographic display shifted, revealing complex frequency patterns that would have seemed like magic 30 years ago. Now, they were just another puzzle to solve. "They've modified their shield harmonics," noted Dr. Kenzo Tanaka, her chief engineer, "trying to counter our hybrid weapons." Elena smiled. "Exactly what we predicted. Computer, overlay pattern Sigma 7. The simulation showed the Dominion's new defensive frequencies merging with Earth's latest weapon designs. Where most civilizations would see an impenetrable defense, humanity saw opportunities. The Dominion built perfect, standardized systems. Humans looked for the gaps between the standards. "Send this to Production Complex Beta," Elena ordered. "Tell them to begin manufacturing the Mark IV penetrators immediately." High above Mars, Admiral James Harrison watched as the largest Dominion fleet yet emerged from hyperspace. 500 ships strong, led by the massive dreadnought Imperial Judgment. Their formation was perfect, their technology superior, their tactics refined over thousands of years of victory. "Right on schedule," Harrison murmured. "Status of Operation Hornet's Nest." His tactical officer, Commander Asha Patel, didn't look up from her neural interface. "All drone swarms in position, sir. Stealth fields holding. They haven't detected a thing." The Dominion fleet moved forward with precision, their new shield configurations gleaming with confidence. On their command ship, High Marshal Vex stood proudly. "Let's show these primitives what real power looks like," he declared. "Begin the attack pattern." The first wave of Dominion ships launched their fighters, thousands of crystalline vessels moving in perfect formation. They were beautiful, elegant, and utterly predictable. Harrison keyed his comm. "All units, execute Protocol Theta." From hiding places throughout the asteroid belt, Earth's response emerged. Not the elegant fighters of Dominion design, but swarms of small, ugly drones. Each one carried a fraction of the power of a Dominion fighter, but they moved in ways that defied conventional space combat doctrine. "What are they doing?" Vex demanded as the human drones scattered in seemingly random patterns. "That's not proper attack formation." His confusion turned to horror as the drones suddenly accelerated at impossible angles, their hybrid drives combining stolen Dominion technology with human innovation in ways that violated every principle of proper engineering. They shouldn't have worked. They shouldn't have been possible. But humanity didn't care about shouldn't. The first drone swarm struck the Dominion fighter screen like a hammer through glass. Their weapons, crude combinations of Earth and Dominion tech, bypassed the new shield frequencies as if they weren't there. Dozens of pristine Dominion fighters shattered in the first pass. Impossible, Vex raged. How did they adapt so quickly? The answer came in the form of larger shapes emerging from Mars' shadow. Earth's capital ships revealed themselves, but they weren't the elegant vessels of Dominion design. They were blocky, asymmetrical things that offended every aesthetic principle of proper shipbuilding, and they were devastatingly effective. All ships execute attack pattern Delta, Harrison commanded. Show them why we don't fight fair. Earth's vessels moved in seemingly chaotic patterns, each one violating standard combat doctrine. Where Dominion ships fought in perfect formation, humanity's fleet fragmented into smaller units, striking from multiple angles, using tactics that no proper military would consider. Their formations make no sense. Vex tactical officer protested. We can't predict their movements. That's the point, Harrison muttered, watching the battle unfold. We learned your patterns, so we threw out the pattern book. The battle turned into chaos, exactly as humanity had planned. Dominion commanders, trained to fight by precise rules and proper tactics, found themselves facing an enemy that ignored every principle of civilized warfare. Earth ships darted through their formations, striking with hybrid weapons that shouldn't have existed, using maneuvers that shouldn't have been possible. In her laboratory, Elena watched the battle data flow in. Every engagement, every hit, every miss provided new information. Begin compiling adaptation protocols, she ordered her team. The next wave of weapons will be ready before they realize what hit them. As the Dominion fleet began to retreat in disarray, Harrison sent one final message. You taught us the rules of space warfare. Thank you. It showed us exactly what you'd never expect us to do. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Humanity had revealed only a fraction of its preparations, and the Dominion was about to learn that fighting humans meant fighting an enemy that evolved faster than you could adapt to them. The Dominion border station Eternal Vigil had stood guard for 3 centuries without incident. Its commander, Sanak Voss, had spent decades watching the same sector of space, cataloging the same trade routes, filing the same reports. That monotony ended when his sensor officer's crystalline form suddenly pulsed with alarm. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace, the officer shouted. They're coming from Earth's direction. Voss rushed to the command deck just in time to see 30 ships materialize. His primary hearts nearly stopped. The vessels were abominations, crude hybridizations of Dominion technology and human engineering. Their hulls were painted in light-absorbing black, making them nearly invisible to standard scanners. Impossible, he whispered. They can't have hyperspace technology already. Commander Sarah Roberts stood on the bridge of the EFS Prometheus, humanity's first hyperspace-capable warship. The vessel hummed with power from its hybrid drive core, a combination of reversed-engineered Dominion tech and human innovation that would have made any proper engineer faint in horror. All ships report ready, her XO, Captain David Okafor, announced. Strike teams standing by. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Begin Operation Lighthouse. The human fleet split into smaller groups, moving with the unpredictable patterns that had already become humanity's trademark. The border station's defenses, designed to repel conventional attacks, found themselves targeting shadows while the real threats slipped through their guard. Inside the station, alarms blared as boarding pods attached themselves to the hull. The Dominion security forces moved to their designated positions, ready to repel boarders according to standard protocols. But humanity had studied those protocols for decades. The first breach came from exactly where the defenders didn't expect, through maintenance ducts that Dominion doctrine considered too small for assault teams. Human soldiers in powered armor suits, built specifically to exploit these vulnerabilities, emerged behind enemy lines. Section 3 secured, reported Lieutenant Emma Chen, her armor's systems interfacing seamlessly with both human and adapted Dominion tech. Moving to Command Center. In the Dominion High Council chamber, the news of the attack spread like wildfire. High Counselor Artemis watched in disbelief as reports came in from across the border sector. The humans weren't just defending, they were attacking, using strategies that violated every principle of proper warfare. How are they doing this? Demanded Counselor Vax. Their ships shouldn't be able to survive hyperspace transit. Their weapons shouldn't function. Their tactics make no sense. Admiral Nexus, recalled from retirement after his earlier warnings, stepped forward. They're not bound by our assumptions of what's possible. We taught them the rules by showing them our perfection. They learned by finding ways to break those rules. On the border station, the battle was already over. Commander Roberts stood in the captured command center, surrounded by stunned Dominion prisoners. "Begin data extraction," she ordered. "Every bit of information here will help us improve our systems further." The human engineers moved through the station like children in a candy store, their hybrid scanners identifying and cataloging every piece of useful technology. Where Dominion engineers saw perfect systems that couldn't be improved, humans saw endless possibilities for modification and combination. "Send word to Earth," Roberts commanded. "Phase 4 complete. The hyperspace corridor is secure." But the true impact of the attack wasn't military, it was psychological. For the first time in thousands of years, the Dominion faced an enemy that didn't just refuse to play by their rules, but seemed to thrive on breaking them. In research facilities across Earth, scientists and engineers pored over the new data. Dr. Santos supervised as her teams took apart captured Dominion technology, finding new ways to combine it with human innovation. Their biggest weakness, she explained to her staff, is their belief in perfection. They build perfect systems, use perfect tactics, follow perfect protocols. But in perfection, there's predictability, and in predictability, there's vulnerability, her team finished in unison. The Dominion's response to the border station attack was massive and immediate. They sent their largest fleet yet, expecting to find a weakened human force exhausted from their offensive. Instead, they found empty space and inactive defense platforms. "Where are they?" demanded Fleet Marshal Zen. "Where did they go?" The answer came as human ships suddenly appeared behind his fleet, emerging from hyperspace paths that Dominion sensors had deemed unstable and impossible to navigate. The humans had turned the Dominion's own understanding of hyperspace against them. As the battle began, Commander Roberts sent one final message to the Dominion fleet. "You taught us that space warfare had rules. We decided to write our own." The war was entering a new phase, and the Dominion was learning that their greatest strength, their rigid adherence to proven methods, had become their greatest weakness against an enemy that refused to acknowledge those methods as limitations. The Dominion's Central War Council chamber had never seen such chaos. Holograms flickered with reports from a dozen sectors as High Marshal Vex tried to make sense of the humans' latest offensive. Their ships appeared where they shouldn't be possible, using hyperspace routes that Dominion science had deemed unstable centuries ago. "They're everywhere and nowhere," Vex growled, his crystalline form clouded with stress fractures. "Every time we adapt, they change tactics. Every time we improve our technology, they find new ways to counter it." In Earth's Combined Fleet Command, Admiral Harrison studied a similar tactical display with satisfaction. The hybrid fleet's hit-and-run attacks had thrown the entire Dominion battle doctrine into disarray. "Status of Operation Medusa?" he asked. Dr. Santos appeared in hologram form, her avatar surrounded by streams of data. "The new quantum disruption fields are ready. The Dominion won't expect us to use their own communication crystals as weapons against them." The plan was audacious, even by human standards. For millennia, the Dominion had used crystalline technology for faster-than-light communications, considering it perfect and inviolable. But humanity had seen something different in those crystals, a network that could be turned against its creators. "Begin the broadcast," Harrison ordered. Across Dominion's space, their precious communication crystals began emitting frequencies they were never designed to produce. The effect was devastating. Shield harmonics faltered. Navigation systems gave false readings. The perfect order of Dominion technology began to break down. "What's happening?" demanded Councillor Vax as the grand chambers of the High Council itself began to resonate with alien frequencies. "How are they corrupting our pure technology?" Admiral Nexus, now the humans' most studied observer, watched the chaos with grim vindication. "They're not corrupting it, they're evolving it. Where we saw perfection, they saw potential. Where we saw finished systems, they saw starting points." The humans' assault wasn't just military, it was philosophical. Every innovation challenged thousands of years of Dominion technological doctrine. Every successful hybrid weapon or ship design proved that their pursuit of perfection had become a limitation. In a secure facility beneath the Martian ice caps, Dr. Santos supervised the final phase of humanity's most ambitious project yet. The captured Dominion dreadnought Imperial Wisdom hung in a massive chamber, its once perfect crystalline hull now integrated with ugly but effective human modifications. "They built their ships to be beautiful," she told her team as they worked. "We're building them to win." The hybrid dreadnought represented everything the Dominion feared. Their pure technology merged with human pragmatism in ways their doctrines said should be impossible. Its weapons were crude but devastating, its shields operated on principles that violated Dominion physics, and its very existence challenged their fundamental beliefs. On the frontier world of New Terra, Commander Roberts watched as another Dominion fleet arrived to challenge the human expansion. This time, however, something was different. Some of the Dominion ships showed signs of modification, crude attempts to copy human innovations. "They're learning," she noted with satisfaction. Finally. The battle that followed was unlike anything in Dominion history. Their ships, some still pure and perfect, others showing the first signs of pragmatic modification, faced a human fleet that had fully embraced the merger of both civilizations' technologies. "Your pursuit of perfection made you predictable," Roberts transmitted to the Dominion commander. "We looked at your technology and asked, what if? You looked at it and said, it is finished." In the Dominion's grand archives, young engineers began questioning millennia of doctrine. They studied captured human modifications with growing fascination. Where the elders saw heresy, they saw possibility. A revolution was brewing, not just in technology, but in thought. Dr. Santos received the battle data with excitement. "They're starting to experiment," she told Harrison. "Some of their ships are showing signs of actual innovation, not just copying our designs, but trying their own modifications." "And that's exactly what we wanted," Harrison replied. "This was never about defeating them. It was about teaching them to evolve." The war had become more than a conflict between species. It was a battle between stagnation and growth, between the pursuit of perfection and the embrace of endless possibility. And as the Dominion's younger generation began to question their society's fundamental assumptions, it became clear that humanity's greatest victory wouldn't be won through weapons, but through ideas. As another day of battle ended, Dr. Santos found herself pondering the irony. "We didn't just change their technology," she noted in her log. "We changed how they think. And in the end, that might be our most important contribution to the galaxy." The Dominion capital world Zenith had stood unchanged for 10,000 years, its crystalline spires reaching toward the stars in perfect geometric harmony. Now, for the first time in its history, that perfection was broken by the presence of crude human ships in orbit alongside modified Dominion vessels, a visual representation of the change sweeping through the galaxy. Inside the Grand Council chamber, the unprecedented was occurring. Humans and Dominion representatives gathered for direct negotiations. Admiral Harrison and Dr. Santos stood before the council, while Commander Roberts' fleet maintained a respectful but obvious presence in orbit. "You've done more than defeat our fleets," High Counselor Artemis admitted, her crystalline form showing signs of stress that would have been unthinkable months ago. You've challenged everything we believed about technology, about warfare, about progress itself. That was always our true goal, Harrison replied. Not to destroy the Dominion, but to wake it up. In the chambers below, young Dominion engineers worked alongside human technicians, their pure crystalline technology merging with Earth's pragmatic innovations. What had started as heresy was becoming revolution, not through force, but through the irresistible allure of possibility. Dr. Santos activated a holographic display showing the latest hybrid designs. Your technology is beautiful, elegant, perfect, she explained to the council. But perfection is static. Evolution requires imperfection, room to grow, to adapt, to become something new. The council chamber filled with murmurs as she demonstrated how human modifications had not corrupted Dominion technology, but enhanced it. Ships once bound by doctrine now moved in ways their designers never imagined. Weapons once limited by arbitrary standards of purity now operated with unprecedented effectiveness. We stand at a crossroads, Admiral Nexus declared, stepping forward. For millennia, the Dominion has been the unchanging center of the galaxy, but the galaxy itself demands change. Young Dominion officers, their formations now irregular but more effective, demonstrated new tactics that merged their disciplined precision with human adaptability. The result wasn't chaos, as the old guard had feared, but a new kind of order, one built on evolution rather than stasis. Commander Roberts, watching from her flagship, saw Dominion ships practicing the very maneuvers they had once declared impossible. They're not just copying us anymore, she noted. They're innovating on their own. In orbit, the hybrid dreadnought Unity, once the pure Dominion vessel Imperial Wisdom, stood as a symbol of what was possible when tradition and innovation merged. Its crystalline hull now housed human-designed systems, while its human components had been enhanced by Dominion precision. We propose a new kind of alliance, Harrison told the council. Not one of ruler and subject, but of equals. Both our civilizations have something to teach each other. Dr. Santos revealed the final piece, plans for a joint research and development facility where both species could work together, combining Dominion expertise with human creativity. Imagine what we could achieve together, she suggested. Not perfect, unchanging systems, but technology that grows, adapts, evolves. The younger council members were first to support the proposal, followed gradually by the more progressive elders. Even the traditionalists couldn't deny the results they'd seen. The Dominion had faced a choice: evolve or become obsolete. Perhaps, High Counselor Artemis mused, this is why your species prepared so thoroughly for our arrival, not just to defend yourselves, but to force us to confront our own stagnation. Harrison smiled. We studied your transmissions for decades. We saw a civilization that had achieved so much but stopped growing. We knew that meeting you would end either in conflict or collaboration. We prepared for both. As the formal alliance was signed, Dr. Santos looked out at the changed skyline of Zenith. Elegant crystalline spires now stood alongside more practical human structures, while hybrid ships of both civilizations patrolled together. It wasn't perfect, but that was exactly the point. We taught them that imperfection isn't weakness, she noted in her final log entry. It's opportunity. And in doing so, we didn't just change the Dominion, we changed the future of the galaxy itself. In the years that followed, the alliance between Earth and the Dominion transformed space exploration and development. Where the Dominion had once sought to absorb and standardize other civilizations, they now learned to value diversity and adaptation. Humanity's preparation for war had ultimately created something far more powerful, a partnership that would reshape the stars themselves. The last entry in the Dominion's grand archives, written in both perfect crystalline script and crude human letters, simply read, "Perfection is the end of progress. Evolution is endless, and the galaxy belongs to those who dare to change."